Hello, everyone. Welcome to 90 Day Truth Files. Real stories, real truth. Subscribe now. What if the biggest obstacle to Jenny and Sumit's love wasn't his parents' disapproval, but a child they erased from existence? For years, we've watched the saga of Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh, a story defined by a seemingly insurmountable barrier. Sumit's traditional Indian parents, Anil and Sadhna. We were told their rejection was about age, culture, and honor. We were led to believe that Sumit's messy divorce from his first arranged marriage was the ghost of his past. But we are here today to tell you that the official story is a lie. A carefully constructed decade-long deception designated to hide a secret so profound, so devastating that it recontextualizes every tear, every fight, and every moment of their journey. The tell-all tapes has obtained a leaked court-ordered DNA test, and the results will change everything you thought you knew about this couple. The truth is not just a skeleton in the closet. It is a living, breathing 12-year-old boy. Before we unpack this bombshell and present the evidence that will shatter the Singh family forever, I need you to do 3 things. First, hit that like button to help this report reach every 90 Day Fiancé fan who deserves to know the truth. Second, subscribe to the tell-all tapes because we are the only channel brave enough to bring you the stories the network won't tell you. And finally, click that notification bell. Trust me, you are not going to want to miss a single update as this criminal investigation unfolds. Now, let's get into it. To understand the depth of this conspiracy, we have to first go back and deconstruct the narrative we were all sold. The story of Jenny and Sumit as presented by reality television was a simple one. An American woman in love with a younger Indian man facing the wrath of his unyielding parents. Anil and Sadhna Singh were painted as the ultimate antagonists whose conservative values and obsession with social standing made them incapable of accepting their son's love for an older foreign woman. Their disapproval was the central conflict, the dramatic engine that powered years of on-screen drama. We saw Jenny struggle to be accepted, Sumit's painful division of loyalties, and the endless cycle of hope and heartbreak. The arranged marriage was positioned as a historical mistake. Chapter Sumit had to close before he could truly begin his life with Jenny. We were told the divorce was difficult and expensive, a messy affair that left emotional and financial scars. But according to our sources, that entire framework is a fabrication. It's not the story. It's the cover story. The real story is infinitely darker and revolves around a truth so damning that the Singhs were willing to commit federal crimes to keep it buried. To truly grasp the magnitude of this, you must understand who the Singh family really beyond the caricatures we see on television. They are not merely a traditional middle-class family. In their community, they are a dynasty. Anil Singh is a respected figure, a man who has cultivated an image of unimpeachable honor and integrity. Sadhna is the matriarch, the guardian of the family's reputation, a woman for whom public perception is paramount. Their social standing is their life's work, a fragile ecosystem of connections, respect, and influence built over generations. In their world, shame is not just an emotion. It is a social poison capable of destroying everything they have built. And over a decade ago, they were faced with the ultimate shame. A perfect storm of disgrace that threatened to bring their entire world crashing down. When Sumit's arranged marriage to his first wife began to crumble, the family was already facing a significant social crisis. Divorce in their circle was a black mark, an admission of failure that would be whispered about for years. But the situation was far, far worse than anyone knew. Sumit's wife, a woman we will call Priya, was pregnant. This wasn't just a divorce anymore. This was a catastrophe. A child born amidst the ashes of a failed arranged marriage would be a permanent living symbol of their family's dishonor. It would suggest a failure in their judgment, a flaw in their lineage. It was a stain that in their eyes could never be washed away. Faced with this impending disaster, Anil and Sadhna did not counsel their son or support the mother of their grandchild. They orchestrated a conspiracy. Our sources describe a series of tense secret meetings where a plan was hatched, a plan of breathtaking cruelty and criminal audacity. Their goal was twofold: to erase the child's true identity and to silence his mother forever. They decided that Priya would carry the baby to term in secret, After the birth, she would be forced to give him up. The Singh family would then absorb the child into their extended clan under a false identity. They concocted a tragic fictional backstory. They created a distant, non-existent cousin who, along with his wife, had supposedly died in a tragic car accident, leaving behind an orphaned infant son. It was a story just plausible enough to work, a narrative that would evoke sympathy rather than judgment. With the story in place, they moved to the next most critical phase, the forgery. Anil Singh, leveraging his influence and connections, allegedly arranged for the creation of a fraudulent birth certificate document. A cornerstone of the entire deception, listed the deceased fictional cousin as the father and his fictional wife as the mother. Sumit Singh's name was nowhere to be found. The boy, his own firstborn son, was legally and officially erased from his life. He was given a new name and a new history. He would grow up within the sprawling Singh family, a familiar face at family gatherings, but his true identity would be locked away. Sumit, his biological father, was assigned a new role, that of a distant, benevolent uncle. The boy was raised to believe his parents were gone, that his uncle Sumit was just another relative, kind, but emotionally removed relative, kind but emotionally removed. For 12 years, this lie has been the bedrock of the Singh family's existence. Every smile Sumit shared with his son was a lie. Every family photo was a carefully staged piece of propaganda, and every interaction with Jenny was tainted by a secret that was always just beneath the surface. This brings us to the overlooked protagonist in this entire tragedy, Priya. On the show, she was a ghost, a nameless, faceless obstacle from Sumit's past mentioned, only in the context of the messy divorce. The narrative painted her and her family as vindictive, as if their only role was to make Sumit's life difficult. But the truth is, Priya is not a footnote. She is a mother who had her child stolen from her, not by a stranger, but by the family she had married into. For over a decade, she was silenced. Our insider reports paint a harrowing picture of intimidation and coercion. The Singh family, with their power and influence, allegedly used a combination of financial threats and legal scare tactics to ensure her compliance. She was warned that if she ever spoke out, she would be ruined, painted as an unstable and unfit mother, and would lose any chance of ever even seeing her son. They isolated her, controlled her, and paid her just enough to survive, ensuring she remained dependent and quiet. But time has a way of unraveling even the most carefully woven lies. As her son grew older, he began to ask questions. The innocent, heartbreaking questions of a child trying to understand his place in the world. Why did he have no baby pictures with his parents? Why did no one ever share stories about them? Why did his uncle Sumit sometimes look at him with such a profound sadness in his eyes? These questions became a constant torment for Priya. The guilt of her silence, coupled with the primal instinct of a mother to protect her child's identity, began to outweigh her fear of the Singh family. The boy deserved to know who he was. He deserved to know his father. And Priya deserved to be called his mother. Her decision before we start, quick clarity for the audience. What you're about to hear is based on online chatter, anonymous tips, and a dramatic leak-style narrative that has not been verified by any official public record. We are presenting it as an entertainment-style report, not as confirmed fact, and we strongly encourage viewers to treat all claims as alleged unless proven with credible documents. Now let's get into it. What if the biggest obstacle to Jenny and Sumit's love was never just his parents' disapproval? What if the real reason their story kept hitting the same wall, year after year, wasn't age, culture, or family honor, but something far more explosive, a child that was quietly erased from the narrative? For years, viewers have watched Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh in a relationship that always seemed one argument away from collapse, yet somehow never fully ended. We were taught to see the villains clearly. Sumit's parents, the traditional mindset, the social pressure, the fear of shame. We were told the arranged marriage was the past, and the divorce was the messy chapter that had to be closed. But the story coming into our inbox now claims that what we've been watching is only the cover story. And if even half of it is true, then everything we think we know about this couple needs to be re-examined. Here's the core of the alleged bombshell. A supposed court-ordered DNA test exists, and according to the narrative being passed around, it points to a child connected to Sumit, a child who has been kept out of public discussion for years. The story being whispered is not a rumor about a fling, not a secret message, not another family fight. It's the claim of a living, breathing preteen boy whose identity was intentionally buried to protect a family's reputation. Again, let's be careful with language. This is alleged, unconfirmed, and currently not supported by any publicly verified documents we can cite here. But it's trending because the narrative is detailed, emotional, and it explains a lot of things that never fully made sense to fans. Let's break down why people are even entertaining this theory. Step 1 is understanding the public version of the Jenny and Sumit saga. The show framed it like a classic clash. An American woman fell in love with an Indian man. His parents refused to accept it, and the whole relationship became a tug-of-war between love and tradition. We watched scenes where Jenny tried to win the parents over, where Sumit seemed torn, where promises were made and then pulled back. And the arranged marriage was treated like a separate disaster that happened because the parents forced it, and then the divorce was presented as difficult, expensive, and emotionally draining. That's the plot we were sold. But fans have long asked, why did everything always feel like it was being delayed on purpose? Why did Sumit often act like someone carrying a heavier secret than just my parents don't approve? Why did certain details about the divorce feel vague, constantly repeated but rarely clarified? That's where this new alleged storyline slides in and says, because the divorce wasn't just about a marriage ending. The claim is that there was a pregnancy during that first marriage, and that the family panicked about the shame of a child being tied to a failed arranged marriage. In this rumor version, the family's fear wasn't only divorce. It was the idea of a child becoming a permanent symbol of failure in their community. And in that fear, the story claims something dark happened. The child's identity was manipulated, and the public story was adjusted to keep the truth off camera and out of conversation. The rumor paints Sumit's parents not as strict reality TV antagonists, but as people deeply obsessed with image, reputation, and social standing, willing to go beyond normal family pressure to protect how they are seen. The alleged theory says they didn't just oppose Jenny because she's older or foreign. They opposed her because Jenny's presence made it harder to keep a much older secret sealed. Because when cameras arrive, when producers ask questions, when fans dig, when the internet starts connecting dots, the risk of exposure skyrockets. And if there is a hidden child, the last thing you want is a reality show shining a spotlight on your family's past. Now let's talk about the most sensitive part, the alleged mother. Some versions of the rumor give her a name, some don't. For safety and fairness, we are not going to present an identity as fact, and we are not going to label anyone with criminal accusations. But the narrative claims she was pushed into silence through intimidation, social pressure, and legal threats. It claims she was told that if she spoke publicly, she would be destroyed, called unstable, blocked from her child, or dragged through court. This is exactly the kind of claim that spreads online because it feels like a movie plot, but it's also the kind of claim that can be extremely harmful if shared as fact without proof. So we're keeping it in the alleged category. Still, let's examine why fans find it emotionally believable. Because it taps into something real. The way family reputation can become more important than individual pain in certain environments. The rumor says the family would rather rewrite history than accept humiliation. It says the child was raised inside the extended family with a different story about who his parents are. It says Sumit was not dad, but was positioned as something like a relative, an uncle, so the boy could stay close without the truth being spoken out loud. If you're thinking, that sounds impossible, you're not alone. But here's why it gained traction. Fans started looking back at old moments, old statements, body language, the strange way Sumit sometimes looks weighed down even when things seem calm. People are now rewatching scenes and saying, he wasn't just scared of his parents. He was scared of the past. And because reality TV is edited, because so much is off camera, people can project almost anything onto the gaps. That's what makes this rumor dangerous and powerful at the same time. The rumor also claims that the child, now older, started asking questions. The kind of questions that break a lie apart. Why are there no baby photos with mom and dad? Why does nobody talk about them? Why does this one adult in the family look at me like he's holding back tears? Those questions in the rumor narrative became the pressure point that cracked everything. And then comes the DNA test part, the claim that there was some sort of court involvement, that a test was ordered, and that results are being circulated privately. This is the headline grabbing part, 99.9% proof. But here's the truth about that number in real life. DNA results can be extremely strong, but unless you have the actual report from a credible authority, the number is just a number that anyone can type into a post. So we cannot treat it as real. What we can do is use it as a story engine for a YouTube narrative that is framed correctly, as alleged, unverified, and for discussion. Now, let's move into what this rumor would mean if it were true, purely as a hypothetical analysis. If Sumit had a child during his first marriage, and that child's identity was hidden, then the entire Jenny and Sumit storyline changes from forbidden love into a relationship built under a shadow. It would explain why his parents' opposition felt not just strict, but desperate. It would explain why certain family conversations felt like coded language. It would explain why Sumit's divorce was treated like a cloud that never fully moved away. And it would raise a brutal question. Did Jenny know? Because if she didn't know, then she wasn't just fighting disapproval. She was fighting a secret that everyone around her was refusing to name. And if she did know, then the audience has been watching a story that was never honest to begin with. The rumor narrative often paints Jenny as the outsider who kept getting blamed for everything, while the real disaster was hidden behind the scenes. It suggests Jenny became the lightning rod, the easy target, while the deeper secret stayed protected. That kind of twist is exactly what makes viewers feel shocked, angry, and addicted to the truth reveal format. But again, we have to be responsible. This is not confirmed. So here's how we're going to proceed in this series. In part 1, we set the stage, the alleged secret, the alleged motivation, and why fans are paying attention. In part 2, we'll go deeper into the timeline fans are constructing, the missing pieces they claim to see, and the specific moments from the show that people are now reinterpreting. In part 3, we'll cover the consequences, what would happen legally, socially, and emotionally if a story like this ever became verified, and what ethical lines creators should not cross when covering rumors involving minors. Because one part of this rumor is absolutely real in terms of impact. It involves a child, and children must be protected from exploitation, even in gossip content. Now, before we end part 1, let's address the biggest question viewers will ask. Why would a story like this surface now? In rumor culture, now is always about timing. Maybe someone fell out with the family. Maybe someone wants attention. Maybe a court issue happened. Maybe a private dispute turned public. Or maybe it's completely made up and designed to go viral because it hits every button. Secret baby, family conspiracy, DNA proof, reality TV cover-up. It's the perfect storm for clicks. And that's why we're framing it carefully. We are not declaring anyone guilty. We are not accusing anyone of crimes as fact. We are telling you what the rumor claims, why it's spreading, and what questions it raises about the story we've all been watching. Because whether this rumor is true or false, it exposes something real about reality TV. The audience is always being shown a version of the truth, not the whole truth. And when the gaps are big enough, people fill them with theories. Now here's the cliffhanger that leads into before we continue. One more reminder for viewers. Everything discussed in this report is based on circulating online rumors, anonymous tips, and fan theories. There is no verified public court document or confirmed DNA report available that proves these claims. This is presented as an entertainment-style analysis of what people are saying online, not as confirmed fact. Now, let's continue the story. According to the narrative gaining traction among fans, the turning point in this entire alleged hidden saga came not from television producers, not from social media speculation, and not even from Jenny herself. It came from the one person who had been silent the longest, the boy's alleged mother. For over a decade, according to the rumor timeline, she remained quiet, living outside the spotlight while the Singh family continued presenting a carefully controlled version of events to the world. In the public story, she was simply the ex-wife, a chapter that had closed. But in the rumor version, she was a mother separated from her child, watching from a distance as the narrative of her life was rewritten. Fans who follow this theory claim that the pressure of staying silent grew heavier as the child grew older. Children ask questions. They notice inconsistencies. They sense emotional tension even when adults try to hide it. And according to the rumor, those questions began to multiply. Why does nobody talk about my parents? Why are there no photos? Why does this one relative seem to care about me in a deeper way, but never say why? In the alleged storyline, these innocent questions began to shake the foundation of the secret. Because a lie that can be told to a baby cannot be maintained easily when that baby becomes a thinking, questioning preteen. The rumor claims that the mother reached a breaking point. Some versions say it was triggered by a school document requiring parental history. Others say it was a medical situation requiring accurate family records. And some say it was simply the emotional toll of watching her child grow up without knowing the truth. Whatever the trigger, the narrative says she decided silence was no longer an option. According to fan speculation and anonymous messages shared online, she allegedly sought legal advice, not to create drama, but to establish truth. And this is where the alleged court-ordered DNA test element enters the story. In rumor form, the timeline suggests she wanted formal recognition of paternity, either for emotional closure, legal clarity, or future security for the child. Again, we must stress, there is no publicly verified documentation confirming any such legal case. But in the rumor ecosystem, this is presented as the moment everything changed. Because if such a request were made, it would create a scenario where the truth could no longer be managed privately. A court process, even a quiet one, creates records. Records create risk. And risk is exactly what a family obsessed with reputation would allegedly fear most. According to the rumor narrative, once the possibility of legal verification appeared, panic spread within the family. Fans who support this theory point to the repeated delays in Jenny and Sumit's long-term stability as circumstantial evidence. They argue that every time the relationship seemed ready to settle into peace, another unexplained tension appeared. Another delay, another emotional breakdown, another family crisis that wasn't fully explained on camera. To believers in this rumor, those weren't random conflicts. They were signs of a deeper issue being managed behind the scenes. Some online discussions even claim that certain filming schedules or off-camera breaks align suspiciously with when this alleged legal pressure may have been building. But again, this is interpretation, not proof. What makes this rumor particularly powerful is how it reframes familiar scenes. Fans are now rewatching emotional moments between Sumit and his parents and asking, were they really arguing about Jenny, or were they arguing about something far bigger that could never be said on camera? Were those tears about cultural expectations, or about fear of exposure? The rumor narrative suggests that Jenny herself may have sensed something wasn't fully explained. Some fans point to moments where she appeared confused by the intensity of the parents' resistance, as if it went beyond normal disapproval. Others seemed overwhelmed by guilt, rather than just frustration. Of course, body language interpretation can be misleading. Reality TV editing can create emotional tones that don't reflect real-life motivations. But in the rumor-driven world of online fandom, every glance and pause becomes evidence. According to the most dramatic version of the alleged timeline, the supposed DNA confirmation did not immediately go public. Instead, it became a private earthquake, something known by a small group of people but not yet exposed to the wider audience. And that's where the tension supposedly escalated. Because a secret confirmed is harder to ignore than a secret suspected. The rumor suggests that internal discussions within the family reached a crisis point. If the truth emerged publicly, it could change how the family is perceived socially. It could challenge the narrative presented on television. It could create emotional fallout not only for the adults, but especially for the child at the center of it all. And here's where the ethical dimension becomes crucial. Even if a story like this were true, revealing it publicly would have serious consequences for a minor who never chose to be part of a reality TV storyline. That's why responsible reporting must always place the child's well-being above sensational headlines. Unfortunately, rumor culture doesn't always follow that rule. The online narrative claims that whispers of the alleged DNA result began circulating quietly among extended circles before reaching fan communities. Screenshots with blurred names, claims of insiders, anonymous posts hinting at documents that nobody publicly shares. This is how modern internet rumors spread, not through one clear source, but through dozens of half-claims that build momentum. Some fans believe the timing of these whispers is connected to recent tensions within the extended family network. Others think it's linked to people seeking attention or trying to create viral content. Without verifiable evidence, it's impossible to know, but the effect is undeniable. The rumor has changed how some viewers watch Jenny and Sumit's story. Instead of seeing a simple cross-cultural romance facing family resistance, they now see a layered drama potentially hiding a deeper truth. And once an audience starts viewing a story through that lens, every scene takes on new meaning. A quiet look becomes guilt. A delay becomes fear. A disagreement becomes a cover-up. That's the power of narrative framing. Now let's talk about what this alleged revelation would mean emotionally if it were ever proven true. For the child, it would be life-altering. Discovering that your identity was shaped by adult decisions made to protect reputation, rather than emotional honesty, can be deeply destabilizing. For the alleged mother, it would be a mix of validation and pain, recognition of truth, but also years that cannot be returned. For Sumit, it would mean confronting a past that can no longer be separated from his present. And for Jenny, it would raise one unavoidable question. Was she unknowingly living inside a story that was never fully real? These hypothetical consequences are exactly why rumors like this capture attention. They turn a familiar reality TV relationship into something that feels like a hidden drama waiting to explode. But again, we must stay grounded in what is actually known versus what is imagined. As of now, there is no confirmed public DNA document, no verified court filing, no official statement from any involved party addressing such claims, which means everything remains in the realm of speculation. In Part 3, we will take this discussion further. We will examine the potential legal and ethical consequences if a rumor like this were ever proven or officially addressed. We'll also discuss how reality TV narratives can sometimes blur the line between storytelling and reality, creating spaces where speculation thrives. And most importantly, we will explore the responsibility of content creators and viewers when discussing stories that involve real people and especially minors. Because in the end, behind every rumor is a real-world impact. And sometimes the biggest question isn't, is it true? But what happens if people believe it is before we go deeper? One final reminder for viewers. Everything in this series is based on online rumors, fan theories, and unverified claims. There is no confirmed public DNA report, no verified court filing, and no official statement proving any of these allegations. This is an entertainment-style discussion analyzing a viral narrative, not a declaration of fact. Now let's continue. If a story like this ever moved from rumor to confirmation, the consequences would be enormous, not just for Jenny and Sumit, but for everyone connected to them. Because this wouldn't simply be another reality TV scandal. It would be a revelation that redefines an entire televised love story and raises serious questions about privacy, truth, and responsibility. Let's start with the legal dimension. Hypothetically speaking, if there were ever a hidden child whose identity had been misrepresented, the legal implications could vary widely depending on jurisdiction, documentation, and intent. But here's the key point. Legal matters involving minors are extremely sensitive. Courts prioritize the child's stability and well-being above all else. That means even if a secret existed, public exposure could do more harm than good. This is why responsible reporting must always step carefully around stories involving children. Sensational headlines may generate clicks, but they can also create lasting emotional impact for someone who never chose to be part of the spotlight. And that brings us to the ethical dimension. The internet has a powerful habit of turning speculation into perceived truth. Once a rumor reaches enough people, it starts to feel real, even without proof. Screenshots circulate. Commentary channels amplify the story. Viewers repeat what they hear. Before long, an unverified claim begins shaping public perception. For a reality TV couple like Jenny and Sumit, whose relationship has already faced intense scrutiny, A rumor of this magnitude can change everything. Fans may begin reinterpreting past episodes through a new lens. Every disagreement becomes evidence. Every emotional moment becomes proof. This phenomenon is known as retrospective narrative reconstruction, where new information, whether true or false, reshapes how people interpret the past. Suddenly, scenes that once seemed simple take on darker meanings. And because reality television is heavily edited, viewers never see the full context. They see a curated version designed for drama and engagement. That leaves space for speculation to grow. Now imagine being inside that story rather than watching it. Imagine seeing your life discussed online in terms of alleged secrets and hidden truths. Imagine knowing that millions of viewers are forming opinions based on rumors rather than confirmed facts. That pressure alone can be overwhelming. For Jenny, the emotional impact of such rumors would be significant whether they are true or false. If false, they represent a painful distortion of her life and relationship. If true, they represent a hidden reality that could fundamentally change how she views her past and present. For Sumit, the hypothetical consequences would be equally profound. Being at the center of a narrative involving secrecy and identity would place enormous emotional and social weight on his shoulders. And for the extended family, public scrutiny would intensify overnight. But the person most affected in any version of this story would be the child at the center of the rumor. Children connected to public figures often face unwanted attention, even without controversy. Add a viral narrative about hidden identity, and the impact multiplies. This is why ethical storytelling requires restraint. It's easy to chase dramatic revelations. It's harder to balance curiosity with compassion. As content creators and viewers, we have to ask ourselves, where's the line between discussing public narratives and invading private lives? Reality TV blurs that line constantly. Shows are built on real people's relationships, real emotions, real conflicts. But they are also structured entertainment, shaped by editing and production decisions. That means what we see on screen is never the complete picture. It's a version designed to tell a compelling story. When fans sense gaps in that story, speculation fills the space. Sometimes those theories are harmless. Other times they become intense and personal. The rumor we've been discussing falls into the latter category. It's detailed, emotional, dramatic, and because it touches on family, identity, and secrecy, it resonates deeply with audiences. But resonance does not equal proof. As of now, the only confirmed reality is this. Jenny and Sumit remain one of the most talked about couples in reality TV, precisely because their story has always been complicated. Cultural differences, family expectations, long-distance struggles, and years of uncertainty have created a narrative that feels larger than life. That complexity makes their story fertile ground for speculation. When a relationship survives as many obstacles as theirs has, viewers naturally wonder what unseen forces might be at play. Sometimes those questions lead to meaningful discussions about culture and family dynamics. Other times they lead to dramatic theories, like the one we've explored. So where does that leave us now? At a crossroads between curiosity and responsibility. It's natural to want answers. It's natural to analyze and discuss. But it's also important to remember that behind every rumor are real people with real emotions. If any official confirmation or credible documentation ever emerges addressing these claims, that would change the conversation entirely. Verified information deserves careful reporting. Until then, everything remains in the realm of speculation and storytelling. As viewers and creators, we can choose how we engage with that speculation. We can treat it as entertainment while maintaining respect for the individuals involved. We can discuss possibilities without declaring them facts. And we can remember that reality TV, for all its drama, still involves real lives beyond the screen. Now here's the final thought to leave you with. Sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about whether a rumor is true or false. They're about why people are so ready to believe it. What is it about Jenny and Sumit's journey that makes audiences feel there must be more beneath the surface? Is it the years of secrecy and delay? The emotional intensity of their conflicts? The sense that something has always been unresolved? Whatever the reason, their story continues to captivate audiences worldwide. And as long as it does, theories and speculation will continue to emerge. The real question isn't just what the truth is, it's whether the truth, whatever it may be, will ever fully come to light. Until then, the narrative remains open, shaped by what we see, what we're told, and what we imagine might exist in the spaces between. End of.